So everybody's talking about an economic recession or a downturn, whatever you want to call it. People think it's right around the corner. So I have a lot of people telling me, you know what, we're going to wait and see what happens, or we're going to wait till everything calms down. If we take a dip, maybe we could come in and get a better price on a house in the market. Well, the fact of the matter is there in fact an economic depression coming? Is there a recession? Okay, so the number one thing, let's talk about how this all began. Back in 2008, we were at the very, very bottom of our housing market crash. What happened was, one, a lot of speculators were on the market. So you had the average guy that was working at the local gas station or the Denny's nearby, and when you're sitting there, you're having lunch, and all of a sudden they say, oh, you're in real estate? Well, that's interesting. I just happen to buy 3 houses down the street. Now, you start to think to yourself, how is this possible? How is somebody buying 3 houses with the income that you think that they're getting? It was weird because they allowed what was called stated income. So the mortgage industry as a whole thought it would be a great idea to let somebody come in, get a mortgage to buy a property on a stated income. That just means, how much money do you make? Oh, $200,000? Sounds good to me. Here's a mortgage, you could buy a house. Now there's a lot of people doing this, and what they were doing is they were going in, they were buying houses, buying new construction, and they were thinking by the time that this is done being built, 9 months later, 12 months later, I would have gained equity because the home equity was on the rise, crazy. So what happened was, by the time they put down a $5,000 deposit, the builder would start building them a house. And then 9 months later, they're like, your house is done. And they say, okay, great. Now all I have to do is come up with the down payment or the deposit so I could close on this house. But that's okay, because even if I have to put down $20,000 or $30,000 that I scrape together, I could turn around and put a for sale sign in the yard, and some guy's going to come and buy it from me, and boom, I just made $60,000 to $80,000 in equity. It was crazy. It was bananas. And that's kind of how the recession started. On top of that, there was other individuals that were out in the market, and what they were doing is they were getting these mortgages at a very, very low interest rate. And they were saying, well, the way that we can do this is it's called an adjustable rate mortgage. So what we could do is we can go and give you this ridiculous low interest rate on a mortgage so it's affordable for you. And what we do is we're going to give you a fixed rate for the first 2 or 3 years. But then after that, it's going to adjust. So if people were stuck with a home, or they moved into a home and they were paying a very, very low mortgage payment, well, what happened was 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, their interest rate adjusted on their mortgage and it went up significantly. And then people that were used to paying $1,800 a month on their mortgage, now all of a sudden their interest rate adjusted and now they're paying almost $3,000 a month on the mortgage. They couldn't afford it. So what happened was they had to put their house for sale, or better yet, they couldn't afford to pay the mortgage, but they couldn't afford to buy another home, and they couldn't sell it for a good price. So they ended up staying in the home. And what happened was the bank started saying, hey, you're delinquent on your payments. You're not making your payments. We're going to foreclose on you. So then they kind of rode it out until eventually they were forced out of their home through foreclosure. So now a normal person living in their house starts to see foreclosures come up in their neighborhood. And some of those speculators that were buying homes and put a $5,000 deposit on a property, now they just walked away from their deposit because they saw home prices going down because of these foreclosures. And now that they're walking away from their homes, entire communities were just bankrupt. They were just stopped. The builders, they pulled up and they moved and they stopped building the communities. And that's what happened. We had a huge, huge downturn in the housing market. Now, let's fast forward. We're, what, 12 years later? And people are saying, oh yeah, it's going to happen again. We're going to have a big housing downturn, an economic recession. Well, the fact of the matter is there have been stops put in place. In the last 10 years, I don't know one single customer that's done adjustable rate mortgage. Just, that's what got us into this mess. So no one's doing it. No one's going to touch an adjustable rate mortgage. So everyone's getting fixed rate. They know what their ability to purchase is. And now, will that happen again? Will interest rates adjust and people be stuck with a higher mortgage payment? No, just because no one's done that. And on top of that, when people are going in to buy new homes from these new home builders, the new home builders lost millions, tens and hundreds of millions of dollars when the economic downturn happened back in 2008. So builders are now, when a buyer comes in to buy a home, they say, hey, we'll sell you this house, but you have to prove to us and guarantee us that you're going to actually physically live in the home yourself for the first year. Otherwise, we can't sell it to you. Where before, the builders were just letting anybody buy 2, 3, 4 properties and just as investors and not actually live in the home within the community. So the builders have stopped that up front by saying, no, not going to let you buy unless you live in here for at least a year physically. And on top of that, there's no more adjustable rate mortgages. And there's no more stated loans where you could just say, yeah, I make $150,000, give me the money. So no more stated loans, no more adjustable rate mortgages, and builders are now not allowing anybody to come in and speculate purchase. So when the next person tells you, oh no, we're going to have a bad economy, the market's going to crash again, everybody in the news is talking about it. Well, what's happening is the people on the news are just telling you what brings up the ratings. They know bad news brings up the ratings. So they're not going to say, hey, everything's great, because no one's going to watch. So what they do is they strike fear in the normal viewer's heart about what's going to happen. Brim and fire, everything's bad, everything's going to hell. Well, the fact of the matter is they're talking about a national average, or nationally, this is what's happening with the global markets. Well, guess what? We live in Florida. Florida is the state people come to because they hate living everywhere else in the United States. This is where people come to die. This is where they come to retire. This is where they come to vacation. This is where they have a vacation home. This is where they move to make their friends jealous when it's snowing and it's 20 degrees up north. So remember, statistically speaking, 900 people move to Florida every single day. 900 people every day move to the state of Florida. This is a fact. So when people say, oh, I don't know about the market, man, but builders are still building homes. They're still clearing land. Now, if they learned their lesson the first time and they lost tens and hundreds of millions of dollars the first time, do you think they're going to make the same mistake twice? I highly doubt it. And the fact of the matter is we're just as busy today as we were last year and the year before that come this month. So the people that are saying that the market is bad and the economy is bad and the housing market's going down are the agents that aren't selling any real estate. Those are the people that don't have the buyers, that aren't prospecting and don't have any consumer base. So if you want to know really what's going on with the market, listen to the agents that are closing transactions and are cashing commission checks. So you've heard it from me. 2019, I think, is going to be a very great year. And in fact, 2019 is going to be the year that you're going to want to make the most money you can and put away the most part of your commissions, because come 2020, 2021, who knows? No one really has a crystal ball, but the way I see it, things are going good in 2019. Well, there you have it. If you like what you heard or you want any more information, please make sure you follow our channel, you comment, or you subscribe. And other than that, I'll see you next time.